Hello and welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Theodore Henry, your guide for this enlightening journey. Our first stop takes us into the world of law, where citizens now have greater access through the Jamaica Legal Information Portal. From there, we explore how artificial intelligence is opening new doors of opportunity with Home Finder AI. Stay with us, there's much more ahead to inform, uplift, and inspire.
Are you on the voters list? First, to be on the list, you would have to be registered and given a voter's ID card. To verify, you may contact your Electoral Office of Jamaica Constituency Office or the EOJ head office in Kingston. You may also visit the EOJ's website, www.ecj.com.jm. Click on Check My Status and follow the instructions.
That will give you all the information that you need in terms of your polling station number, where it is located, etc.
Thanks for staying with us. Access to the law is access to justice. With the launch of the Jamaica Legal Information Portal, JLIP, citizens and stakeholders now have a new digital gateway to the nation's laws. The portal is outfitted with a chatbot and other 21st century features. Let's take a closer look.
It's a project years in the making. The Jamaica Legal Information Portal, or JLIP, first took shape on September 28, 2020, when Cabinet approved additional financing under the Foundations for Competitiveness and Growth project. That decision set the stage for a US $295,700 contract with European consulting firm Softengi to bring the vision to life. But why was such a platform needed?
So there's currently no official website in Jamaica that provides information on a wide range of legal literature. No central portal exists solely for this purpose. The publication of the laws of Jamaica has had a long history, but throughout that history, it can be admitted that the access to publication has been limited to the few who are aware of its existence and who knew at the time to access them. The JLIP is a centralized repository online platform established to first of all improve public access to the laws of Jamaica.
For government leaders, JLIP's launch represents a major milestone in the digital transformation of justice.
Today's launch can best be described as a testament of the dedicated, meticulous approach by my colleague minister and her team in the quest towards further improving and simultaneously broadening the digital and technological reach of Jamaica's justice system.
This portal is already populated with several decades of the laws. Gazette publications, specifically proclamations, rules and regulations, and the annual acts of the Parliament of Jamaica, as well as the latest publication of the revised laws of Jamaica. So our objective for phase 2 is to have the portal populated with all the laws dating back to Jamaica's independence. Once completed, subsequent phases will provide access to the revised laws of Jamaica, and I'm talking about all editions from the 19th century to the present. The annual acts of Jamaica from the 17th century to the present. The Jamaica Gazette publications, all of them before independent Jamaica in 1962. Law reform related judgments and judgments of the Supreme Court related to or linked to legislation. Resources and information concerning legislative development, and the Hansard. Now, Hansard is the official record of Parliament containing debates on bills in the House of Representatives and the Senate.
Now, let's show you how to search for a law. If you know the name of the law you're looking for, just type it into the search bar and click Search. Say, for example, you want to find the Access to Information Act. Type it in, click Search, and you'll see the act appear on screen. Just one click does the trick. There's also an advanced search option if you want to search by legal topics. Let's try looking for the topic citizen and nationality as an example. You'll see a list of laws related to that topic appear right away. Next, we'll go to the library page. Here, the laws are grouped into categories to make them easier to browse. You'll see two main types of laws listed. The laws of Jamaica, which are the yearly collection of new laws passed by Parliament, and the revised laws, which are the edited and consolidated versions published periodically. You can explore this page by scrolling alphabetically or by year, whichever you prefer. Now, let's look at the Constitution page. This section includes key documents from Jamaica's legal history, both current and historical. As you can see, it includes the full Jamaican Constitution with all changes up to 2024, the original 1962 Independence Constitution, and the pre-independence constitutions of 1944 and 1959. Finally, let's look at one of JLIP's most helpful features, the AI chatbot. Just click the AI chatbot tab and ask any question about the site or the laws. For example, what is the Constitution of Jamaica? And just like that, you get an answer in real time.
I'm excited that you will be able to interact with the portal, and that when we are reforming the laws, you will be able to, from the convenience of your bedroom or your living room or on the street side,
the Jamaica Legal Information Portal is more than just a technical tool. It's a declaration of national intent. It affirms that justice must be visible, understandable, and accessible to everyone.
JLIP is part of something bigger. The ministry is part of something bigger. It is building out a better nation. It is building out an informed citizenry. And it is building out a government that is transparent and accountable.
With JLIP now live, Jamaicans have unprecedented access to the nation's laws. It's a major step towards a more transparent, informed, and empowered society.
This is your reminder on how to mark your ballot, easy and confidential. When you receive your ballot, take a moment to read it carefully. Mark your ballot clearly with an X beside the symbol of the candidate of your choice. Use only the pencil provided. Make sure it is visible. Once you're done, fold the ballot as instructed and return it to the presiding officer. Your vote is your voice. Make your mark, make it count.
Artificial intelligence is here to stay, and it's opening new doors for positive change. One exciting example is how AI is helping to bridge the gap in housing searches, making the process smarter, faster, and more accessible. At the forefront of this movement is Meron McPherson, the visionary behind HomeFinder AI.
Across the world, students are harnessing the power of artificial intelligence to drive economic advancement. From automating businesses to solving real-world problems, young innovators are shaping the future of Jamaica, one algorithm at a time.
What are the current technologies that are currently in place to solve these issues, and see where you can help by bridging the gaps between what is already done and what can be done.
AI can be for massive good in this world.
But are we ready to embrace the use of AI for good?
Hi, my name is Meron McPherson and I am the founder of HomeFinder AI. So how the app works is that it takes the end user's data, such as their location, the budget that they're able to accommodate to finding a home. It takes that and then uses a recommendation algorithm to match them with homeowners who own homes within that location and budget size, and basically connects the end user to the homeowners to make the whole process much easier. The idea was born out of my family's own issues in finding affordable housing when we first moved to Jamaica, and then I started opening up my perception and realized that it wasn't only my family that was facing these issues but those in my community. And because I've always been interested in computer science, I started thinking, how could I bridge the gap between this societal issue and artificial intelligence?
AI is not new. AI is about 50 plus years old. The concept and the word AI was created at a contest at a college. It was an event at Dartmouth University or Dartmouth College in the US in 1956 where they came up with the term. And then those folks have been working on it over and over and over.
I think the AI task force can start by creating community initiatives and bringing on the younger generation, for example, by having monthly AI workshops.
We do have a youthful and tech-savvy population. Just very recently, we had a very interesting collaboration with an international organization by the name of Intellibus. In the discussions between University of West Indies, University of Technology, and myself, the idea of hosting what they call a hackathon came about. So you have 24 hours to build something from scratch to solve a real life, whether it's a business problem, government problem, education problem, societal problem. 647 people registered. This is the beginning. We're just scratching the surface and there's a lot more to come, and we're very, very excited about it.
It started in the western part of Jamaica and we're slowly expanding to cover the entire region. So far, about 5 families we were able to help find homes within, again, their location budget range. And I'm just very excited to see the initiative keep expanding until we reach to the eastern region. It assists community development by creating more equitable resources for low-income Jamaicans, so that's who it's targeted to.
That's one of the things that we want to ensure that, they're talking about improving productivity in the country, we're talking about improving our GDP. What are some of the areas that potentially AI could help?
One of them being pharmaceutical. I worked with a team of 3 other 6 farmers, and we basically used AI to make the farming sector in Jamaica more efficient. So by tracking in real time the nutrient levels, temperature, moisture and humidity levels of the soil, farmers would be able to create greater quality crops, and that in turn could make better the agricultural sector in Jamaica, which we know is a key sector in economic growth.
You have a problem that you want to solve and you're leveraging artificial intelligence-based technologies to solve that problem. Finding a home, finding a job, finding food, doing this. It is mind-blowing, and I'm happy to say that this student at high school, 6th form, has developed a tool that is actually solving a real life problem.
Say first start by looking for the different issues within your community and your local country, and then see what are the current technologies that are currently in place to solve these issues, and see where you can help by bridging the gaps between what is already done and what can be done.
In general, we have a cultural resistance to change because there's always worry and concern about people losing jobs if AI technologies and tools will not do that job.
I think a lot of people don't truly appreciate or understand the power of AI. And so I would tell them, yes, exert caution when using AI because it can be harmful, but look at the good side of it and see how it can be used to actually solve some of these inequalities and societal issues.
This technology is here to stay, it's not going anywhere.
Don't be afraid to explore those crazy ideas and apply those technologies to these issues, because you don't know, your idea may be the next big thing.
The following is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
We estimate that there are about 20 to 25,000 who are unemployed because they do not have any skill. They are a loss to our economy. And we have tasked HART to find these 25,000. Go out into the communities, put on your training fairs, have specific agents out there doing your reconnaissance and surveillance and finding these youngsters. Get them into your training program. Offer them stipends and bus fare and lunch money. But more than that, what they need mentoring. Because oftentimes they simply do not know about the opportunities that exist. They exist on the periphery of the system and they are skeptical of the system and they don't believe that the system is set up for them. Your country needs you.
Be smart. Choose HART.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Modern healthcare requires modern spaces. As the Ministry of Health and Wellness lays out in its 2025-2026 sectoral agenda, the focus is firmly on infrastructure, upgrading facilities, building new ones, and transforming the landscape of healthcare delivery for Jamaicans.
Jamaica's public health system is undergoing significant transformation, with stronger modern hospitals and health centers being built to provide universal access to quality care. The 2025-26 fiscal year marks a new milestone as some major construction projects are set to reach completion, while others progress within the ambit of a larger capital budget.
This year, 25-26, Health's budget for capital projects is up to 10.18 billion from the 6.9 billion in the last financial year.
The Cornwall Regional Hospital's rehabilitation, now in its third and final phase, has already started phased reopening. Its ultra-modern administrative department opened in May, and others are to follow suit later in the fiscal year.
We are seeing the end of this long journey to restoring Cornwall. The new offerings at Cornwall Regional will have 11 new operating theatres, new CT and MRI additional diagnostic services, an A&E department that is close to twice the size of the original, new maternity suite, new and expanded dietary serving Cornwall Regional and Western Child and Adolescent, a new nursery, new intensive care unit, and all the other amenities which will be totally new.
The build-out of the new 220-bed Western Children and Adolescent Hospital is also in its final stage.
We expect that to be completed sometime this year. These developments should see across the country more than 450 additional beds being added to the cadre of beds in our country.
The Kingston Public Hospital, KPH, which opened its doors in 1776, is also now on the agenda for major redevelopment that will see the aged plant giving way to a modern edifice.
We have now identified lands for lease to purchase and have commenced plans for a new KPH. Mr. Speaker, a land use survey report was prepared on the properties around KPH, inclusive of the 35 parcels identified, and the National Land Agency is coordinating the compulsory acquisition of the required lands.
In other capital projects, construction work on the new Spanish Town Hospital is moving apace. This fiscal year has already witnessed the $6.4 billion state-of-the-art 7-story, 100-bed facility emerging from its foundation.
We're in the final stages of procurement, 6-story building, 120,000 square foot medical facility, 40 medical and surgical beds, improvement in outpatient, lecture rooms, conference rooms.
Beyond building new hospitals, the Health Ministry continues to invest in more primary care infrastructure, as well as resources and systems to make Jamaica's public health system smarter, more efficient, and future-ready.
We're adding more services at the community or primary level, including adolescent health, elderly health, rehabilitative and palliative care, as well as ophthalmological and audiometric screening, together with dentistry, diabetic retinopathy, and lab services, among others.
From digitizing patient records to adding cutting-edge diagnostic equipment, the ministry will continue this year to roll out major reforms. Under the Health Systems Strengthening Program, HSSP, millions of dollars is allocated to build out physical and ICT infrastructure, expanding the addition of fully digitized patient records.
Maypen West Health, $300 million. Maypen East, $748 million to spend. St. Anne's Bay Health Center, $309 million. Ocho Rios Health Center, $759 million. Brownstown Health Center, $765 million. Moco Health Center, $139 million. Greater Portmore, $513 million. Old Harbour, $681 million, and St. Jago Park, $516 million.
Health centers will also continue to get well-needed upgrades in the 2025-2026 fiscal year under the Operation Refresh initiative. This includes adding AC units, better waiting areas, doctors' offices, bathrooms and kitchenettes, and improved water supply. All these are just some of the wide range of transformational upgrades unfolding this fiscal year as the Ministry of Health and Wellness continues the journey to build out an improved system for a healthier population.
This is Jane. Jane loves to talk about politics, but she never votes, even though she's on the voters list. Don't be like Jane. On September 3, 2025, make your voice count. Vote for the party of your choice. Your vote is your right. Use it.
And now to a message from the Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport, Darrell Vaz. He's giving us an important update on Jamaica's electricity sector, outlining how new licensing arrangements and bold government action will make energy more affordable, reliable and resilient for all Jamaicans.
The following is a message from the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport.
My fellow Jamaicans, good evening. For too long, the people of Jamaica have been unnecessarily burdened by the flawed negotiations in 2001 and 2016 by the previous PNP administrations, therefore not benefiting the Jamaican people. Our electricity prices remain among the highest in the region, and the system continues to show serious vulnerabilities, particularly in the face of hurricanes. This is unacceptable. We only have to remember Hurricane Beryl 1 year ago and the intervention that I as minister with the support of my administration had to make on behalf of the Jamaican people after JPS failed on several occasions to meet the restoration deadlines. The Jamaican people suffered severe inconveniences both economically and personally, and this must never happen again. The current license is deeply flawed and urgently needs reform. This past July presented us with a first opportunity in a generation to reform the system and put Jamaica first. Without decisive government intervention, the existing arrangements would have remained in place for at least another decade. The Jamaica Public Service Company currently holds a license to operate until July 2027. We have made it abundantly clear we will not renew the license on the same terms. In the meantime, JPS is required to continue operations under the conditions outlined in its existing licenses. The current electricity framework suffers from many issues, but I want to highlight 4 fundamental problems. 1, JPS holds a monopoly on transmission and distribution with a legal right of first refusal to replace generating assets. This stifles real and robust competition in the sector. 2, there is no independent system operator, which creates a conflict of interest in 2 distinct ways. JPS can prioritize its own generation, even when cheap alternatives exist. New independent power producers must negotiate a power purchase agreement with JPS, the very company they must compete with for generation. The system lacks adequate resilience to hurricanes, putting our people and economy at risk. There are insufficient incentives to reduce electricity losses, leading to inefficiencies that all Jamaicans ultimately pay for. Put simply, the existing license allows the licensee to maximize its profits without delivering corresponding benefits to the Jamaican people. The new electricity arrangements must achieve these clear goals: more competition in the sector, lower electricity prices, greater resilience during natural disasters, a cleaner, greener grid powered increasingly by renewables instead of imported fossil fuels. To achieve these goals, we will introduce greater competition in the electricity sector, implement stronger regulations where competition is limited, leverage technology and innovation to reduce system losses and improve reliability and resilience. These changes have been long overdue. The licenses negotiated in 2001 and 2016 by the previous PNP administration have not benefited the over 600,000 customers, affecting millions of Jamaicans. To make real change possible, this government has taken the necessary step of issuing a formal notice of its intention to purchase JPS, should that become necessary. Let me be clear. If JPS is willing to accept meaningful reform and fundamental changes, we can talk. Failing which, the government will proceed to acquire JPS and award a new licensee to operate on the conditions set out by the government of Jamaica, which will be to the benefit of the Jamaican people for the first time. We are already in receipt of interest by several credible and serious potential investors who are ready to step in and deliver for Jamaica. Let me hasten to reassure the hard-working staff of JPS. Your jobs are not at risk. Regardless of who operates the system after 2027, the continuity of employment and the valuable expertise you bring to the sector will be protected. This transition is about reforming the system, not disadvantaging the people who keep it running every day. This is not about the government taking over the operations. We do not expect the government to run the electricity system itself, but we are prepared to take this step to ensure that the Jamaican people get the system they deserve. The course of action is only possible now because of the improved state of public finances, thanks to the discipline and sacrifices made by the Jamaican people over the past decade. We are in a position to make bold decisions in the national interest. It's now time for Jamaica to reap the benefits of those sacrifices through an electricity system that is more affordable, more reliable, more resilient, and more sustainable. This minister and this administration are committed to Jamaica's energy independence at the national level, corporate level, and most importantly, ensuring that individual households can install solar, generate their own electricity, and enjoy lower prices. A new license and regulatory arrangement negotiated for the first time by a Jamaica Labour Party administration will finally liberate every Jamaican's lower-cost energy future. Jamaica, the choice is yours to decide. Let this minister and this administration do what the previous PNP administration failed to do on the last two negotiations. Thank you, and may God bless Jamaica. Have a pleasant evening.
This message was brought to you by the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport.
As we wrap up today's edition of Jamaica Magazine, we hope you found these features informative and engaging. If you'd like to see them again and explore even more content, visit our website, jis.gov.jm, and let's also stay connected through our social media platforms. On behalf of the production team, I'm Theodore Henry. Have a great weekend.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.